How big is a Trenta? Who knows? Bigger than a venti. I hate these fucking words. I just want large, extra large, medium, small, okay? I'm a simple fucking woman.
So who cares? Why not do your own thing and let them say what they want?
What's up, guys? I want to make a follow-up video to the last video you guys watched real quick. This is weird. I'm just like, I haven't even checked to see if anything looks good. I've got my Trenta fucking cold brew here, which I absolutely do not need. Splash of 2% milk, by the way. Shh, don't tell Hunter. He got me into drinking coffee, and then I got him into drinking tea, so now we drink both tea and coffee. What am I even talking about? Let's go ahead and get into this video. First of all, I want to thank you guys so much for the immense amount of support I got in the last video. If you haven't watched it yet, it's the one about like, where is Jay, what's going on with me and Hunter, and my new like relationship status stuff or whatever. There were multiple questions that came out of it, so I'm going to go over those today, and then this is the last time I'm going to talk about it for a while because I want to have fun on this channel and not be like a fucking Debbie Downer or whatever the fuck. So yeah, we're going to do philosophical stuff by myself and with Jay. We're going to do adventure stuff. Hunter and I have a lot of fucking trips and fun things planned. I need to do the Cancun video. We got a lot of fun stuff going on, and I have B-roll from Cancun too, and I just want to show you guys how amazing that fucking place was because it was really, really amazing. But seriously, the amount of support that I saw on that video is astounding. Like, I usually feel like I'm gonna get more criticism than not on things that are more sensitive like this. I think one of the last times I felt like I was gonna get a ton of criticism, like for sure, was when I came out about having had nudes in the past or whatever, when I said for a long time that the nudes weren't me, and I was just like fessing up to that and all of that stuff. I felt like a lot of people weren't gonna understand. But lo and behold, it really does seem like you don't have to do like a full ass apology video where you cry and stuff. You just kind of have to be open and honest and speak from the heart. I always feel like that's not going to work, or that I'm going to come off too cold or too analytical, which, I mean, some people, it does seem in the comments expressed that, like, you'll see. There's some comments that actually hurt me a little bit, which is weird to say, but it's like that I came off a certain way kind of like hurt my feelings a little bit. So we're going to cover that. But the two big ones that we're going to cover are, well, we're also going to talk about how I feel about non-monogamous relationships, like open relationships and stuff. But the two big ones are, how do I feel about marriage and babies, and if that has changed. I literally made a video talking about how badly I do not want kids recently, and that has not changed. However, I'm just going to jump right into this and tell you that Hunter wants a son, and he doesn't want one soon. He doesn't want one in the time frame in which I could even have one. Which was kind of like, I would always joke, like, I'm gonna be the first wife. Not saying that I want to get married or anything, but I was always like, it's kind of obvious to me, like, he has a lot of flaws that I wanted to strictly be conscious of, like, going into our relationship. And when I started to fall in love with him and fall in love with other things about him and admire him in many ways, I still needed to remember that even through the honeymoon phase, he has these flaws and these deal breakers. And one of those is the strong desire, I guess, to have a son. I don't even know how strong that desire is, because it's always just like a joke to him. Like, oh, it'd be fun to have an heir or something, like that kind of guy, that kind of thing. But every time I'm like, well, what are we gonna do if we get to that point? And he's like, oh, we'll get a surrogate, or oh, I'll just knock some other girl up, like as a joke or something. And I thought about it a lot, and I pushed him on it a little bit, and I still don't know how serious he is. But at dinner the other day, and this is probably a big development for me because of how I still viscerally do not want children at all, I told him that in 2 or 3 years, if we're still together, I'll freeze some of my eggs, and we'll see what happens. And we'll see if you still want it in 10 years, and then we can get a surrogate or whatever. And then I can want to kill myself. And he laughed out loud because of how I grimaced. Like, I was like, we'll see what happens. So I'm thinking about the future. I'm also remembering that I might have to make big sacrifices if I want to decide whether or not I want to keep this person that I love. I feel like I'm talking about this really coldly because I'm uncomfortable about it, because it's like a thing that it's not even a big deal. Like, it is a lot of money to like freeze your eggs or whatever, but like for me, it's a big deal to even move that much because I do not want fucking kids. Like, when Jay and I agreed that we would never want kids, like in the grand scheme of things, I was so glad that we were on the same page, but at the same time, I loved Jay so much that I probably would have done it for him. Maybe that's like the only, I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. I still fucking don't want it to my goddamn core, but like, I'm gonna do that little planning for the future thing just in case. And the good thing about it is I don't have to ruin my body in the process. I'll just still be like a fit 40-year-old that doesn't have to like carry the baby, but it'll still be like his genes and my genes and not like the genes of someone else in him or whatever. I don't want a kid. I still don't want a kid. I promise you. I'm feeling nauseated. I need more coffee. I'm feeling nauseated even saying that, but like, yeah, I love him. So just to make sure to cover all the bases, I said I would do that. And I still have 2 or 3 years to think about it. So there's that. Haven't changed, but a little more proof of how much I actually do care about Hunter. Next, marriage. I was never opposed to marriage strictly. I just thought it was stupid, just like Jay thought it was stupid. So there was never really a point in getting married or anything. Like, I kind of like the idea of having like a honeymoon and having a proposal and wearing a dress or whatever, not having like a big wedding, because I feel like that's more stress than is necessary. But like maybe just having like a party with your friends and then going off to a really nice honeymoon that's like all about you and your partner. Like I would do that with Jay. I wanted to do that. I think that's a fun thing to do. But I don't think that the contract of marriage shows anything really if you're secure in your relationship. Now I add that in because I would find more value in Hunter proposing to me and us getting married, because right now, in the beginning of our relationship, I'm a little more insecure about his devotion to me. So I feel like a lot of people really want this contractual bullshit thing called marriage just for the sake of feeling like there's more security in the relationship or the person really wants you. But what I have seen from people close to me recently, and what I don't mean like they're close to me as in close friends. I mean like I've seen it firsthand. Someone proposing to you definitely does not show actual devotion. So once again, I'm back in the camp of like, you know, when I'm fucking and I'm like, oh, just fucking marry me. Like, you know, it's just like kind of a visceral feeling of like, oh, just marry me, just like shoot your kids inside me or whatever. Like all that stuff is like not the rational path that I want. So if Hunter and I were ever to get married, it would just be like a cute, fun thing that we do together, and it would be more logical, and it wouldn't be more like we would get a prenup, stuff like that. Like we would be smart about it. I don't think he'll ever propose to me. That's for sure. I can't even imagine that happening. Seriously, like he's really bad at the kind of like planning romantic stuff, which is fine because I'm like really good at the planning romantic stuff and giving gifts and stuff. He's just really good at the like passion in the moment and like showing love like always. You know, he's bad at the like grandiose shows of affection or whatever, which you know is fine. Like I've never actually had someone that did stuff like that, but I feel like a lot of that is, it's just like being creative and not necessarily being sincere. Like how I feel when he like holds me and like kisses me on my forehead like pales in comparison to how I would feel if someone like put a bunch of fucking rose petals all over the fucking house and then like went and cheated on me behind my back, which is something that happens. So I think you have to like really take actions more wholeheartedly than grandiose shows of affection or grandiose words and stuff. So marriage, never really been off the table. If Jay really wanted to get married, I would have done it. If Hunter really wants to get married, I'd do it. I'd talk about a prenup for both of us, for both of our sakes, that would, you know, help each other out if one of us happened to not make as much money. But I do and always have liked aspects of getting married, like the honeymoon and the proposal, like, I'm such a girl, so cute. You know, like I've always liked that stuff. So no, nothing has really changed. But let's go ahead and get to some of these comments that I saved. There's one that says, did you actually fall in love with Hunter, or did you just fall in love with the way Hunter made you feel? No need to respond, just food for thought. I've thought about this. I have. I admire Hunter so much, almost more than I am passionate about him. There's just stuff about, like, every time we've had a fight or an argument, like, he gets really cold, never yells, just, like, tells me what the problem is, and then I tell him, like, the next day and the next morning, like, what my thought process was, and that it'll never happen again, and then I'm sorry, and, like, I'll try to change it or something, and he's just like, okay, and then he's back to normal. And it's, like, so smooth and nice and rational, but also, you know, like there's little hints of emotion in there, and he's like a good balance of hardworking, having fun, logical, and emotional, and like the perfect balance in my opinion for a man. I'm sorry, I've already had too much fucking coffee, so I'm a little weird. But anyway, every time I've had like a fuck buddy or like a fling on the side that wasn't Jay, they made me feel like alive again and like passionate or whatever. But like it's definitely not that would get me to like uproot my entire fucking life. Like I'm not that stupid. At least I would hope I'm not that stupid, and this isn't just like a small amount more passion, like enough to get me to leave. Like I am definitely in love with him as a person and not just the idea of him or like how he makes me feel or whatever. Why didn't you try couples therapy? You've been with each other for so long. I think you have to be open to that kind of thing, and both Jay and I are not open to that kind of thing. I also think it would be extremely, this might sound narcissistic, but it would be extremely fucking hard to find a good enough fucking therapist to do something better than we can do on our own. Like, we've had a lot of open, honest, calm talks and like both of us at least think of ourselves as much smarter than most therapists. And even like the average person like has to go through 3 or 4 therapists to even like find someone that works out. And then you have to find a therapist that like understands our relationship, because we weren't in a regular monogamous relationship. So a lot of them would probably just like judge. It would be like way more money and time than it's worth for something that would never really amount to anything, because neither of us are open to it. However, Jay and I had a talk at one point, like a couple months ago, that should have happened before we separated. And there are a multitude of things that we would try if we did it over again. So if it ever does come to the point where we're both available and we want to try again, maybe we would at last resort try something like that, but it just doesn't make any sense. For some people, therapy can be really fucking good, but for a lot of people, it just doesn't help, doesn't work, or you can't find anyone good. And let me tell you, Nevada, especially compared to Seattle, has some of the worst healthcare professionals and the worst everything. Like, you get a repairman, you get a fucking doctor. They're garbage here. They're so bad. They're so fucking bad. Okay, these are the types of comments that really hurt my feelings, because apparently in my introspection and my explanation, I somehow made it seem to some viewers like Hunter was just a means to find out more about myself, or like an experiment. So here are the comments that I'm talking about. How does Hunter feel knowing he may just be an experiment / stepping stone? And then there was another one. So you're with Hunter to find out if you're still in love with Jay, who you say is perfect, confusing, but that's life, best of luck. I'm not just with Hunter for it. There's no reason why I'm just with Hunter. I am absolutely head over heels in love with Hunter. However, I can understand how if someone's not used to the way that I introspect, that they might think that like he's being used or something. But like, how I explain this is like, when I say I could never be with Jay without finding out for sure what it's like to be in this kind of relationship with Hunter, I don't mean that the end goal is to get back with Jay, or the end goal is to find out something and then, oh, once I found it out, I'm gonna leave Hunter and go back to Jay. It meant like every situation in life is a learning experience and a means for one to grow. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the main objective of the relationship, or that that's the reason why I'm doing it, or even in the front of my mind. I was just saying, hypothetically, I could not stay with Jay and I could never get back with Jay until I knew for sure, because there would be that resentment in our relationship separate from Hunter. Like, has nothing to do with Hunter. Just like in a perfect world, if I didn't have Hunter, or if I was single and I just left and then came back to Jay, I would still have that resentment because I would never know this one thing about myself. Inadvertently, every relationship is going to be a teaching moment for you and yourself. And if it came off as like the only reason I'm doing this is to hopefully get back to Jay, 100% no. I'm planning my future, my next 10 years, as you've seen when I talked about the fucking freezing my eggs or whatever. I'm planning all of that with Hunter. Like, I'm definitely long-term oriented for Hunter and want it to work. And I don't know how many times this week I've said I want to spend my life with you to Hunter. So that's definitely not something I want to make anyone feel, especially not Hunter. And usually like stuff like that doesn't bother me, but I can see how it comes off that way. And like, I would be completely heartbroken if I ever made Hunter feel like that. So I definitely want to clear that up. Next one, bad move to make this video on long terms of new relationship. So I think what this person is trying to say is that it's awkward to make this video when the relationship is new and then talk about like long-term stuff. And then if I have to make a video a month from now saying like, oh, me and Hunter broke up, that would be really awkward. I've thought about this too, and it made me feel like a dumb piece of shit to even think about that. Like, people get into relationships and sometimes they don't work out. That doesn't mean that the experience isn't valid, or that like me breaking up with Jay isn't valid. I didn't break up with Jay to cling on to another person no matter what forever and do the exact same thing I basically did with Jay, where I'm clinging when I shouldn't. If Hunter doesn't work out, like, okay, maybe it's time for me to be alone for a while, or maybe I can actually try the couples therapy or like all the cringy shit route with Jay, or I can find someone else. That's life. And one of the things that like was really hard with me and Hunter to begin with is that like Hunter clearly felt like he had big shoes to fill, and that like, don't expect this to be as stable or as long as Jay for sure. Like, even though I want it to be, like, that's a lot to fill. And I'm like, no, this is a completely separate experience. What I'm doing is separate from like whatever we have. I might be doing it because I love you, but it still should be done. So if I make a video in like 2 weeks, it's like, yeah, Hunter and I broke up, that doesn't invalidate the experience or what I did at all. It's just, that's life and we didn't work out, and I'll be fine with it. And if people want to make fun of it, that's cool. A lot of people say like Hunter's not going to work out. I mean, in the beginning, I would have said I agree, because if you don't know him or you see him superficially, he does kind of seem like a fuckboy douchebag that, you know, is gonna not work out. But I see him as more than that, so I'm giving it a shot. Next, I've watched you for a while, and I think I can tell you what. I think you've lost with Jay. You've never had true love. As long as you have your options open, you'll always wonder if there's something better. I think this is like a slight to either me being like super hypergamous and like a horrible person or whatever, or a slight to open relationships. When I am like actually in love with someone, I don't ever feel like I have my options open. I don't really want my options to be open. I don't pursue anything until something really feels like it's missing. Like, I waited many years to even let that idea creep into my mind, like maybe what I'm doing isn't best for me. I'm very not the kind of person who will just jump to another person very quickly. Even my nature is very like, oh, I'd rather stay with what's comfortable. So that's not me also. I think that's a misunderstanding of what an open relationship is if you think that it's more about just like trying out your other options. Of course, that could always be the end result, is that you find someone better, but that's not the main reason or goal, and it's not usually what happens each time. All right, this next one I thought was kind of stupid for other reasons. He says, the honeymoon phase does not last long. If you think that's love, you will get disappointed. Again, assuming that this is just honeymoon bullshit. Doing something selflessly for someone you have a feeling for without expecting anything in return. Those kinds of relationships will last long. Why would you assume that I don't do that? I do that all the time. Also, it's not selfless. We don't have to get into the philosophical debate about there's no selfless good deed, because there isn't. It's always building a rapport with your partner, if nothing else at all, or just making them smile, which makes you happy, which is always selfish. But in terms of this colloquial use of selfless, I do that all the time, so we're good. And then he says, think about how your parents stayed together all these years. Okay, like, how do you even know that my parents are together? Maybe they're divorced. They never got married, so, but they're still together, yeah. They never thought of themselves first, but okay, that's because they had children, and that's what you have to do when you have children, which is like not fun and not smart and not what I want to do. But I think it is incredibly toxic how parents stay together for the rest of their lives and just shirk any personal happiness. I don't think that's good. I don't at all. I think it can be messy. I think it can suck, but I think sometimes separating from someone you've been with for a long time and built a life with is the right fucking decision so that both of you aren't miserable. I see so many parents staying together miserably, and I see so many people getting into relationships and marriages thinking that it's going to be forever and then don't put any work into it, and then they just like stay together and they're like miserable. I feel like to a certain extent, my parents sacrificed too much to stay together forever, and sometimes I feel like they're not happy, and I would like to see them happy. And if that meant that they had different partners or had an open relationship or broke up, I would be happy for them, because I would want them to have their own personal fulfillment, especially since I don't rely on them anymore. I would be happy to like go meet my dad and mom's new fucking girlfriend or boyfriend if that meant that there was a new light in their eyes and they were happier and felt more alive. So to romanticize something that's like full sacrifice, I think relationships do require sacrifice and compromise, unfortunately, but to romanticize the idea of staying together no matter what, oh my god, is like, ugh, disgusting to me. Like, be happy. And the last one, and this one we're gonna go in depth on because I love this girl. She posed some great questions, and it looks like she has a black cat and is kind of hot in the picture. I can't tell, it looks kind of like a drawing. I don't know. But she says, been watching your videos for so many years. You and Jay were my big open relationship success story since I always wanted to try that. I really hope you can go more in depth next time on open relationships and your updated thoughts and feelings on them now, having tried both, with pros and cons in your experience. The most important thing is that you are happy, of course. I personally think Jay is hot as hell and Hunter is not even close, so I am sure he must be really special and hoping to see more of him in the future. I was left thinking, does it not hurt Jay more that you still have him in your life as a friend when he wants you back? It's normally the reason for exes not to hang out, that it's just better for the other person's sake to let them be. So Jay and I talked about this a lot. We talked about maybe there being like a point where we back off of each other for a while to give him space. But like, honestly, we weren't like a real relationship, you know? We were more of like a much deeper friendship and companionship thing than just what it means to be in a relationship. Like, those aspects of our relationship were very small compared to the friendship and life partner aspects of the relationship. And so those are more important to upkeep, in my opinion, and I think in his as well, than just the sex life that we had. I also think that people stop being friends with partners who they were best best friends with just because of emotional immaturity. Like they can't handle or separate those two things. But Jay and I have such a good fucking friendship that even if it hurts, it's worth keeping together. And you know, sometimes we argue about stuff or bicker, or he's short with me or whatever, but he's also not alone and has someone that he can get all of those things that he lost in me from. So even though he's not like super happy with the outcome, it's still better for us to be together as friends and to see each other and to keep that rapport, because that's like the most important relationship I've ever had in my life. That friendship aspect, that hasn't dwindled at all. We're still amazing friends and neither of us want to lose that. So I think it's kind of rare. Like a lot of people say that they'll marry their best friend or they're dating their best friend or whatever, but like I feel like when Jay and I say that, it's much, much stronger. It has much, much more weight. I think we get along much better than most people who say that they married their best friend or whatever. And then on top of it not being like a real breakup, and then also still sharing a bank account and investments and like part of my empire he works on and helps me with. Like it's just not only convenience, it's also like necessity of that like best friendship. We're still there to tell each other everything. The only way that I haven't been able to tell Jay everything is like sometimes I feel a little weird talking gushy about Hunter with Jay, but I can still do it. So the open relationship thing. Hunter and I aren't really closed. It's kind of like one-sided open relationship right now. I basically just told him the rules for me are like no taking girls out and spending money on them for dates. Just be honest and open with me and make sure to be safe. Like, you know, use a condom or whatever. He says he's probably not going to do that. We've talked about doing threesomes. I personally am really turned on by like watching my guy fuck another girl or like watching porn with my guy, all that kind of stuff. So like I can't even imagine being in a fully closed relationship, at least where like if the opportunity arises and he was like, hey, can I do it? I couldn't imagine being like, nah, unless there's like some problem with the specific girl. I feel like there's no reason for someone to give up something that like biologically they really want to do and is also a turn on to me entirely for the rest of their lives just because they want to be with me. So while I do value it not being like all the fucking time or like taking girls out on dates and stuff, because I feel like that's what can cause the drama, I don't feel like I'll ever be like in a fully monogamous relationship. Also, I think I can do like a fully one-sided monogamous relationship where I never have sex with another guy, because if the guy is keeping, this is going to be really hard to explain, but if the guy I'm with is keeping up his like, how do I say this? Like his dominant traits with me, then I always feel like it's a kind of like a feat of self-control to like not fuck another guy and to know in my head I've never fucked another guy. So like not even lying about it or cheating or anything, like just to know that I've never fucked another guy and that I'm being submissive to my man, to my king, is like really hot to me. And I feel like that also keeps up the passion, you know, to like fuck girls with my guy and then for him to be the only person that's been inside of me is like really hot. I don't even have desire for other guys right now. I know that will come back after the honeymoon phase and I'll like find a guy that I find attractive, or I'll be drunk and I'll be like, oh, I really want to fuck this guy. But in the end of the day, it's gonna be hot for me not to have and to just come home and fuck my man. So that's kind of like where I am. I haven't fleshed it out yet, but that's, I think, what would be my ideal right now. I honestly do not think there's anything wrong with open relationships. I don't think that what happened with Jay and I has anything to do with the fact that we were open. Watching psychology videos, specifically on psychology, and other videos about relationships just for fun throughout the years, I've always known that there are paths that like relationships can take. One path is like returning to the friend zone, because you get too familiar and you don't work hard enough on the passion or whatever, or you just grow apart. And then another is like resentment. And then another is like actually staying in a passionate state of whatever the fuck if you work hard enough on it and you're still romantically into that person. And I feel like some of the actions that Jay and I took, as I mentioned in the other video, like being too familiar and all this stuff, have led us to, at least on my end, friend zone-ize a little bit. And I have only seen opening things, as especially for the guy, making the passion for the girl stronger. And like every time Jay would go out with a girl when we were in an open relationship, he would come back and want to fuck me more. So while I think there are ways and types of personalities where the girl can get turned off by an open relationship or the guy can just end up like leaving the girl, I think overall, if you can have the trust and if you can have the communication and the respect to stop if anything goes too far and to not take things too far, I think open relationships can most certainly work. I just think that what is working against them is society and upbringing and having it like biologically programmed into your head to have kids or whatever. So like if you don't want kids, or if you want to try an alternative lifestyle, or if you're like more emotionally stable, I think trying an open relationship is something you should try before you knock it. And I think just because one open relationship ends up not working out doesn't mean that open relationships just can't fucking work. So have my ideals changed for an open relationship? I would say only in that I want to try this whole like not fucking other guys for a while thing. But do I think that what I'm doing now is superior to what I did with Jay? No, and even if it was, it would be just superior for me. There is another open relationship you can look toward as a success story, and that is Destiny and Melina. They have a pretty cool open relationship where they both have a lot of options, so they just kind of like have sex with people when each other can get someone. So it's like they're always out doing it at the same time, and it's like very unilateral. It's not like one-sided at all. And they seem to work really well. They have their problems, but it doesn't seem like their problems stem from any of the open relationship stuff. And it's just like a personality thing. Like some people don't want to do it, and a lot of why they don't want to do it, it just comes down to security, comfort, and insecurity. They want the security of knowing that the person won't do it, even though it's just kind of a formality to placate their insecurity. I still see monogamy that way, and to be honest, I don't think that monogamy is bad. Like, if you want to do that, if you want to like give up the ability to fuck other people mutually just for your own security and comfort, that's fine. There are some things that I want for comfort in a relationship. There's some things that I need for comfort in a relationship. And I feel like telling my boyfriend, or in Jay's circumstance, my life partner, that they can't do that thing that they want to do just so that I feel more comfortable is like, ugh, especially when I think it's hot. So, yeah, we're not gonna talk about this for a while. I've almost finished this on fucking camera. This is a Trenta. How big is a Trenta? Who knows? Bigger than a Venti. I hate these fucking words. I just want large, extra large, medium, small, okay? I'm a simple fucking woman. I hope this clears things up. I'm in a weird mood today, so like my eyes are kind of darty and I'm a little like fucking, I'm hopped up on caffeine. I haven't had anything to eat today, so the caffeine's hitting me really fucking hard because I've been waiting because Jay and I are gonna go to lunch. And yeah, I gotta get this video edited. I gotta do some OnlyFans stuff. I am back in business. Let's go. Let's get back to normal. This new normal that's just as good as the old normal and very not different, but you know, I don't know. Fuck. I did some jump roping this morning. I did the jump roping. Yeah. I love the lighting here. And it's so consistent too, because I wake up at the same time every day, so I can film at the same time every day, and I can have like consistent lighting with a backlight, because there's like a fucking, let me show you. There's like windows up there, dude. There's fucking windows. We got windows in this house. I don't know why I'm still talking. This is gonna be like a long ass video for no reason. All right. I love you. Bye.